This roof's getting installed with our premium roofing system. Backed by our 50-year warranty. And there's a 0% financing, no payment for 6 months options that this customer utilized. If you're looking for a new roof and you need an affordable option, call Absolute Restoration.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, welcome in here to Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Hopefully you are having a spectacular work week to this point. If you've liked the cold weather, we've had plenty of that, but you probably noticed a little bit warmer today. And we're just going to take steps the next couple of days to warm things up quite a bit more. One of the main things we're tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center as we look over the course of the next about 20 minutes or so. So thank you again so much for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather. Again, milder to start tomorrow morning. Still cool, but this morning we were practically at a record, so easy to go up a ways from there. In saying that, we'll look at some cameras here in a minute. You can see in the background there, not much insulating us for tonight. It's just the fact that we were a little warmer today, kind of helping us out as we've warmed up the relative air mass around the region. And I think that relative warmth definitely wins out over the next few days, pushing temperatures in some cases more than 10 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. Now, there are some rain chances ahead. We're still watching those closely, but I think we still have quite a few days, at least through the latter part of this week, before we start thinking about that really at all, with one little itty-bitty sort of exception. We'll look at that in a moment. So first 12 here, we're looking at 47 at 6 p.m. for that temperature. We're 41 degrees by 9 p.m., 39 by around 12 o'clock in the morning, and then probably somewhere in the middle 30s for early tomorrow. And that's a lot warmer than we were for this morning, where low temperatures were down in the low 30s. So again, low 20s. So a big improvement from where we were 24 hours ago. Those southerly winds are already starting to bring in that slightly warmer air for today. It's the same high pressure center that brought us all the cold gradually kind of slips on out of here to the east. Outside right now, as we check out some of the beautiful conditions, so we've had some great sunsets. Again, you can always share your sunset pictures with us, any of those pictures, using the Mississippi Live Weather app, and appreciate everyone who does do that. We try posting those on Facebook and all the different socials as well as showing those here. But yeah, just a high, thin, what we call cirrus clouds evident there from Aberdeen, 50 degrees the temperature. But you can still see we are definitely going to drop tonight into the 30s and maybe even 20s, not an impossibility there as we look at that dew point there in the low 20s, at least at that reporting station there in Monroe County. That one, the moisture sensor sometimes is a little bit off on that there. So maybe a little bit low, but still showing that moisture level at about 28 there in Cleveland. Now we're looking the opposite direction. That's why I have more of the purples and blues. The sun would be setting back the opposite way there. We'll have set the opposite direction. So do sometimes looking toward that eastern, northeastern horizon there, a little more of that reds and purple showing at 57 there in Cleveland this evening. And then outside at this instant in West Point, it's 51. Again, the sun below the horizon there. That measure moisture, relatively dry air in place. So that's why, again, tonight will be another one of these cool evenings. But there's nothing out there, as you would imagine, to insulate us. So nothing to show up at this instant here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, as those scans completely clear here across North Mississippi this evening. Though the chances for moisture get a little better, they are pretty limited for quite a while. We mentioned the temperatures. Record on the books for today, 22. So not a record low this morning. Officially, Tupelo Regional Airport will get the official low temperature numbers on our almanac data coming up here, and hopefully have those for you at 6 o'clock. Those come in late in the evening to just make sure there wasn't an intra-hour drop there. But yeah, we were down to 21 there in Amory and Columbus. Starkville coming around 21 degrees, way below our normal for this time of the year, but not quite the record levels. I mean, look at this though. Greenville all the way down to 27, Belzona 26, and 26 there in Greenwood. So if at all the plants around your house look like the ones outside of mine, the garden that we sort of had on the back porch, it's done. It's amazing how 2 nights as cold as we just had did a really effective job of kind of killing everything off, but that's kind of the way it ended up working there. And it wasn't just us, region-wide, those temperatures definitely were chilly. We've become a lot more mild this afternoon. You can see that building warmth back to the west of us. And we'll look at this more on kind of the wider shot as that high pressure bringing in the warmer air from out of the Gulf of Mexico. Certainly the warm up a day or two ahead out here for Oklahoma City at 69 versus the 51 right now, temperature in Tupelo, 52 in Starkville. And yeah, 40s back in the north and east. Of course, those temperatures enhanced by the fact that they had the snowfall. In some cases, snowfall amounts in excess of 4 to 8 inches out that direction. So obviously that works kind of like an ice box, making sure temperatures stay colder longer there versus here where we, in some cases, had some flakes, but not a lot of that. So this is that H, that high pressure center I was referencing just a moment ago there. As we widen this just a little bit, what's going on here is we have the winds that have returned to the south. Those southerly winds kind of pumping up not just a little bit more humid air that's going to hold up those low temperatures, but also just generally warmer conditions that are helping us to kind of build day by day. And as we look back to the north and west, our next front is just rather unimpressive, not expected to see a whole lot in the way of meaningful moisture out of anything related to this. And the snowfall from this most recent storm system, as you can see, still wrapped up all the way to the northeastern United States as that moves away. So no big changes back to the north and west. And when that's the case, what dominates typically is going to be the fact that you have this high pressure center, which is one of the stories that we have in here, kind of bringing in that warmer air. So day by day, luckily we warm up a little more for the next few days. And by the way, if you were expecting that maybe we're just going to plunge right into a chilly pattern for a long time, that's not the where this goes. Because again, the southerly winds kind of bringing in milder conditions and holding those temperatures up somewhat overnight. We, again, don't have really any insulation out there. So I think we're still going to have quite a few 30s, maybe low 30s out there for some spots tomorrow morning. I wouldn't at all be shocked to have a couple locations near the Tennessee state line, maybe up around Corinth or Iuka or maybe Faulkner. They're down into the upper 20s for lows tomorrow morning. That little bit of cloud cover ahead of that front doesn't really do an effective job of getting here. So we're going 37 for that low temperature early tomorrow. Again, assuming maybe just a couple little bits of cloud cover out there to hold us slightly more mild. Mostly it is that southerly wind there. But sometimes if we get just those little dry pockets, that's where we do dip again. So I think still some patches of frost, but obviously not the hard freeze that we had this morning or yesterday morning for that matter. Middle to upper 60s by tomorrow afternoon. 70s aren't far behind this as we're really warming things up the next few days. Coming up in 60 seconds, we're looking at that progression toward warmer temperatures and breaking down the very latest as we look towards some of the very limited rain chances and when they maybe get a little bit better. As Mississippi Live Weather at 6 continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
At Room to Room, there's no need to wait. Black Friday deals are going on now.
Discover our gift shop full of treasures, Peter's Pottery, Votivo, and Tyler Candles, kitchen essentials, and more. All in stock now.
Room to Room Tupelo, where we know there's no place like your home.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lawpon.
Okay, so we are clear and dry out there this evening. Thank you so much for supporting us here on Mississippi Live Weather and all those folks that advertise with us here. It allows us to be able to keep this a free service that we provide here for North Mississippi. And again, of course, as we always say, thankful to those folks at Room to Room Furniture for sponsoring us here in the Room to Room Weather Center, whether it's in the studio in downtown Tupelo, the mobile location where I'm at here, which helps me be a little more effective at taking care of some of the business end of what we're dealing with behind the scenes here. Just thank you to everyone who is supporting us here as part of this adventure into the new realm of media. Outside, though, it is just an absolutely gorgeous shot. Show me a camera. Penny's sitting here reading the book. Look up for a second. Look at this camera. That is just, it is pretty, right? See, we impressed the 12-year-old there. 11 and almost 12. Anyway, look, from the dark purples to the blues to the pinks to the reds to the oranges, it's a rainbow, maybe a little out of order, but just one of the prettiest shots you're ever going to see on one of these cameras here after sunset. And Maven has it this evening. Hopefully some folks are able to go out there and check it out themselves. Those winds kind of a southwesterly direction. 52 that temperature in Mabin at this time on what is certainly a beautiful evening. Not quite the same color contrast showing up in Caledonia and Clarksdale there, but still looking pretty nice. 56 in Clarksdale. That wind, still a little bit of a breeze to it there. Technically, the wind chill factor doesn't kick in until you're in the upper 40s. So no official wind chill, but you can bet that if you're not covering up some of that exposed skin, it'll have a cool feel to it as far as tonight's concerned, whether you're heading out to maybe some area soccer games or just venturing to the store or maybe dinner. That'd be obviously a good idea. Penny, from the commercial break, reminding me Bulldog Burger is probably where our next daddy-daughter date ends up there. And then in Tupelo, we're looking at 52 degrees right now with a beautiful shot there on the south side of town. Some clouds way out there toward the horizon, but just the overabundance of clear skies today helping that temperature to really boost. Now versus where we were at 24 hours ago, we're 15 to 18 degrees. Look at that, 19, almost 20 degrees warmer in Senatobia right now and Holly Springs versus where we were yesterday at this exact moment here. So a lot warmer, and that warming trend really continues to kind of pick up over the next couple of days. Look here at the next 7 days. So from today, where high temperatures were upper 50s, we're middle to upper 60s for tomorrow. So really changing things to 71 by Thursday. And then by Friday in all of our football games, including our Mississippi Live Game of the Week, which our meteorologist Gabe Maynard are going to get those charts and everything up behind the scenes. We'll show you those come up here in a couple of minutes on seeing how that votings go for that. But yeah, we're really excited for what's going to be a pretty warm forecast during the day, and so that still means fairly mild in the evening. 76 Saturday and 75 degrees Sunday. Again, normal high is 66. So that means everything from tomorrow into next week running above that 30-year average for this time of the year. So school bus forecast brought to you by IMPC. We're at 40 degrees, that pickup temperature tomorrow, and that is a huge improvement for the kids versus this morning where it was low 20s, and I could not convince my children to wear the right amount of clothing. One was like, some, and the other one was like, way too much. So tomorrow morning, you're definitely going to have to layer up the kids, but it's not going to have to be, the big super coat if they're going out to the bus stop like it was this morning. Will be 67 by drop-off, so you send them with the big coat, and they're probably dragging it behind them, doing whatever that means to the quality of the coat by the end of it. But we're, again, clear and dry for tonight on Futurecast. As we talked about before the commercial break, high pressure is the story in a big way. This typically means clear conditions, dry conditions, and as our front moving toward us to the north and west is still a long ways off, we are still, again, dry and clear for the overnight hours and don't have much in the cloud cover realm coming back in. And so when we look at low temperatures for tomorrow morning, again, I think this could be a little high in some spots. We're expecting in more lower level moisture to continue to come in. So we are hopeful, again, upper 30s, low 40s out there to begin early tomorrow morning. I still think if you get an especially dry patch or two out there and you get the winds to calm down completely, which our projections have them just a little bit gusty, but if they calm down completely, still could have some lower 30s. I do still think some patches of frost a possibility. I mean, you can see Hamilton, Alabama come in 33 there, one of our drier locations. So by 8:30 in the morning, just a few thin clouds arriving. Here is that front we were talking about. It looks like a cold front. It's not really one, because here's the thing. It's more of kind of a wind shift coming in, holding the moisture back and keeping it from really kind of progressing in. And you can see it also kind of limits how far north some of those clouds end up coming in here. But no precipitation with that. And the fact that front doesn't even completely cut through the area, just another one of those signs that it is largely a front in name only and really more a shift to the wind. And that does happen from time to time this time of year. We don't really get a good punch of cold air with one of these fronts. So because of that tomorrow, temperatures would be warmer if we didn't have that little shift in here. But we're definitely a lot warmer today either way. I mean, normal this time of year should be about 66. We're going to be there for Oxford, 67 degrees in New Albany, 68 in the Tupelo area, coming in 71 for Greenwood, Kosciuszko, 72 degrees in Belzona, and 72 there in Greenville. Again, mostly clear conditions into tomorrow evening and tomorrow night. But again, dry weather is largely, again, the story. And because of that, it's another cool but not quite as cold morning for early Thursday morning. In fact, I think there might be just enough moisture that we do have a little bit of fog out there kind of depicted here on Futurecast for the early morning hours on Thursday. So something, of course, we'll be updating tomorrow that always tends to extend that morning commute, cause some accidents, but that's probably what we're looking at for early Thursday morning. And temperatures, you'll note, not much warmer, but a little bit warmer than we will be for tomorrow morning. With especially the Delta, we're seeing a little more returning moisture on the backside of that high pressure center. That's why we're 50 in Cleveland, 48 degrees in Greenwood, 42 Bruce, and 43 to begin your day early Thursday morning in the Amory area, and around that same value for Tupelo. So let's go through Thursday here. And again, that cloud cover does linger for a little bit. And I think, again, we'll go partly to maybe even mostly cloudy skies for part of the day. Now, you saw a shift there. We've changed over. This is a hybrid here showing our HRRR model as well as our strike model at the same time. What is it seeing? What's it looking at here? Okay, so as high pressure is in place, it is seeing kind of the difference. That front, you notice we don't even show it on the wide shot here. That's how little real impact it had. But it's also seeing the fact that we have, again, some of that returning moisture coming out of the Gulf of Mexico here, right? Kind of lifting northward there. And so when you have something like that in place, you do sometimes on the leading edge of some of that returning air, you tend to get little bits of drizzle. I think more than anything, it's just kind of enhancing the cloud cover. It might limit the temperatures a little bit, but I don't think it's a major limitation as far as that's concerned, as most of this up north is fairly thin, and most of those showers, I think, probably overdone there. So you can see that enhancement in temperatures here as we're about 76 in Greenwood, Belzona, 73 degrees Water Valley, Bruce, and Houston, 68 for Boonville and Red Bay, and about 71 degrees in New Albany and 72 in Tupelo. So that is, again, the warmth there, and we're running a bit above our normal for this time of year. But you'll see as far north as some of those little bits of green get, Greenwood back to Kosciuszko in the late evening hours on Thursday to early Friday, before it shows up as just more cloud cover than really anything else as kind of progresses in. So we're really close to our high pressure center, sinking air with that, keeping us mostly dry, but I mean, just the littlest of little chances to perhaps see a rogue, a sprinkle or two out there for early Friday associated with that. But I think the bigger story, if you look on kind of the wider shot here and you look for meaningful rainfall, I mean, even on the wide shot here, you can see the edge of where my model is here. You got to go way back to the north and west on Friday, even midday, to see something of significance. What, over 1,000 miles back that way? So likely pretty dry. Unless we are able to squeeze out something out of this little bit of returning moisture, which I think is probably a tall task. So I think it means we're mainly dry and clear for that Mississippi Live high school football game of the week presented by Casey Lott. And I think, again, we're probably dry there for that. So upper 70s, I mean, that's pretty warm. Normal this time of year, 65 will be to 78 degrees Belzona for Greenville. And that does mean probably kickoff temperatures for some of these games probably still even in the 60s. There. And I mean, considering we're like mid-November here, that's pretty warm there for the first or second round of the playoffs, depending on which classifications we're talking about there. Obviously, nowhere near the record, still 10 degrees below that. And this will not be a stretch where we have record-breaking high temperatures. So we're 67 for the high temperature on your Wednesday, 71 degrees as we look toward Thursday, 75 by Friday, with 76 on Saturday. So obviously much warmer as we go into the forecast there for the weekend. Now, by the second part of the weekend, we do have the very limited rain chances starting to creep back in. I'm not impressed by what we're looking at here for Sunday. Even into Monday, our chances look pretty limited. You might have remember if you're watching last night for that icon, we have had some storms on there for Monday. We've shoved that to Tuesday. That tends to happen when the pattern gets really slow moving, which is what it is right now. We end up kind of having to shove stuff off a little farther. Our last front that brought us this really, really cold air just scoured the moisture, and it takes quite a while before that can really build back into the area. Okay, I do want to check out our Mississippi Live Game of the Week. I think we probably have that up and going here behind the scenes there. And you can see the way where things stand as far as voting is concerned there. And yeah, we are looking at Okolona at Faulkner there at 65%, about 1,000 votes on that one there for that game. Kemper at Water Valley, other nominee there, only 200 votes on that. And then the folks there in West Lowndes and Biggersville, about 200 votes. We chose some smaller schools this week. We had some folks saying, hey, why don't the smaller schools get as fair a shot? So we tried to put in more of the small schools this week to give everybody kind of a fair shot here in the playoffs. I think we'll completely make it wide open next week. If we've been there, great. If we haven't been there, great, to try to capture one of the best games. But excited there. Looks like a lot of folks, mentioning as well in the comments, Okolona versus Faulkner there. So that looks like, unless there's some kind of drastic change, which isn't impossible, that will be, I think, up there in Faulkner for that Okolona versus Faulkner game for our Mississippi Live Game of the Week. So looking forward to the way that ends up playing out. And just a little plug here in advance, make sure to send those pictures in to us for cheer and band so that we can hopefully get some shots there as well. And as someone mentioned there, that Callie is not in the comments. It's right there. You have to click. Got to point the right direction. See, I've been doing this a million years. Still got to point the right direction on that to make sure that you're in the right location to vote for that. Again, our next live broadcast coming up at 6 p.m. this evening. Our meteorologist Gabe Maynor will be with us. You know what, Gabe? If you're at the monitor there for a second, I'm gonna let you pop it on and tell us a little bit about what you're looking at for our 6 o'clock broadcast tonight here for Mississippi Live. What you got coming up at 6 o'clock?
Well, 6 o'clock is primarily going to be rain chances, and talking the latest details on next weekend's threat, or should I say next week's threat, because rain chances, folks have probably seen on our 7-day forecast, have continually been pushed back, and that front moving a little bit slower. That's our next significant weather maker, and even that not very high. I do want to say we had 20 to 30% on those percentages because a large portion of that actually happening overnight. So rain chances will be significant. It's just not going to be when a lot of us are alert and around, so we'll have to be, of course, staying aware of that. There is a potential for some strong weather as well. Primary threats will primarily look northwest, but again, we'll break down that forecast coming up tonight at 6. So this will definitely be a talker as we move into the 6 o'clock hour. So I know it's calm right now. We're enjoying the warmer air that's pushing in, but definitely something to note in that extended forecast. We also have the potential to see some of that geomagnetic storm. And Matt, feel free to chime in at any point on this because it's an area that I, of course, need some more familiarity with, but they are talking about the possibility of it being visible, and we're looking at the latest on those maps, hopefully getting some visual aids that we can show you guys coming up at 6.
Absolutely, because that's one of those things, even my wife is like, she missed the last big one. I'm going to say it until the next big one, which who knows, might be this year, might be 10 years from now. She missed the last big one. She has not let me forget it. So that's always, at least we have good clear skies tonight, if that can be the case. Certainly, we've had a lot of these solar opportunities, and you'll be breaking down a little bit more on that coming up at 6 o'clock. We thank you all for joining us here for Mississippi Live Weather at 5. We will see you coming up at 6 for our next live broadcast, and always available, always free in the Mississippi Live Weather app. Again, available for all of those different devices, and one of them we don't maybe talk as much about, but want to make sure you never forget about. Roku, always a good way to watch us on the traditional television set if you'd like to see us there. Okay, we'll see you up at 6.
It's Friday night y estamos activos. Head out early. Drinks flowing from 11.
No sé qué pasó. I didn't even drink that much.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.